Welcome to today's Explainer. So, we're diving into a topic today that honestly touches a universal nerve for pretty much all of us, the modern customer service interaction. I want you to think about this not as a single, isolated conversation, but actually as a high-stakes relay race. In this race, artificial intelligence, well, it runs the first leg, but a human agent absolutely has to sprint to the finish line. The success of the entire operation doesn't actually come down to how fast the AI runs. It completely comes down to the baton pass. That precise make or break moment of transition, the balance behind human intervention, is exactly where this race is won or lost.
Get this, 88%. According to recent benchmarks, an absolutely astounding 88% of contact centers have already deployed AI in some form or another. So you know that whole debate over whether or not to use AI? Yeah, it's completely over. It is officially everywhere, and adoption is just nearly universal across the entire industry.
But right next to that massive adoption rate lies a pretty sobering reality. Only a mere 25% of these contact centers have fully integrated AI into their actual day-to-day operations. So the technology is technically in the building, but it's largely just sitting on the sidelines, completely disconnected from the actual daily workflow.
So what's with that massive 63-point gap? Well, that represents the ultimate operational bottleneck in the industry right now. Everyone rushed out, bought the shiny new tools, but almost nobody figured out how to seamlessly weave them into their existing human teams. Actually, getting AI live quickly, that's the easy part. Redesigning operations so that AI and humans actually collaborate effectively, that is the real massive challenge contact center leaders need to solve today. Now, to clear that bottleneck, we have to clearly draw the dividing line. Which interactions go to AI and which go to a human? Honestly, the split is incredibly straightforward. AI completely thrives on the predictable and the rules-based. If a customer's intent is clear, like checking a shipping status or just asking for business hours, AI easily absorbs that structured interaction. But when a conversation requires empathy, like, say, a frustrated customer stranded at an airport needing a really complex, multi-leg rebooking, interpretation completely outweighs simple information retrieval. And that is exactly where humans shine.
In the real world, this human-AI balance usually takes one of three forms. First up, AI acts as the first point of contact, kind of like a super smart receptionist capturing intent and routing the call. Second, AI works as an agent assistant. Think of this like a live co-pilot whispering helpful knowledge to a human agent while they're actually speaking. And third, AI works entirely after the conversation as an invisible admin, automatically updating CRM records and summarizing the call. Believe it or not, this third way is actually where agents get the most time back in their day. Okay, so we know the models, but what happens when that relay race baton drops? When AI in a contact center breaks, it is rarely a failure of the technology model itself. It is almost always a failure of governance. Think about it. If the rules of the race aren't crystal clear, the runners are just going to crash right into each other.
There are basically 5 specific governance failure patterns that are driving customers crazy. First, we've got false confidence, where AI gives an answer based on totally outdated data. Then, context gaps, where ambiguous language just totally confuses the system. Next is over-containment, which is the absolute worst, and we're going to hit on that in just a second. Then there's knowledge drift, where company policy changes aren't updated in the AI's brain. And finally, disconnected channels, where your context doesn't follow you from, say, the web chat to the phone call. Because of these 5 traps, a staggering 64% of customers still wish companies wouldn't use AI for service at all. Now, the ultimate villain in this whole customer experience is over-containment. This is when an AI system stubbornly keeps trying to resolve your request instead of just escalating it to a human. We have absolutely all been there. You're stuck in that automated loop of doom, literally shouting, "Agent, representative, human," into your phone while the robot cheerfully asks you to repeat your issue. It's maddening, right? This specific failure destroys customer trust faster than almost anything else. To prevent that dreaded loop of doom, you have to lock down your governance rules way before launch, not after the bad reviews start rolling in. You need to define transparency. Like, when do you explicitly tell customers they're actually talking to a bot? You need to define data access and knowledge control. What exactly is the AI allowed to read? But most importantly, you absolutely must define escalation. What is the exact path to a human, and exactly how fast does it trigger? And this brings us right to mastering the perfect handoff. A lot of companies obsess over giving their AI this fun, quirky personality or perfecting its conversational cadence. But the truth? Handoff rules matter significantly more than conversation design. The most common AI failure isn't giving a bad answer. It's the system simply not knowing when it's time to just stop trying and pass the baton.
You basically have to hardwire strict escalation triggers. Essentially, these are non-negotiable kill switches. The AI must safely pass the baton to a human agent the absolute second any of these things happen. The customer explicitly asks for a person. The conversation turns emotional or heated. The request falls outside the approved knowledge base. It involves complaints, refunds, or legal issues. Or the system repeatedly tries to clarify but fails. If any of these triggers are hit, boom, the AI must immediately step out of the way.
But handing over the baton isn't quite enough. You have to hand over the context, too. A working handoff must carry the customer's verified identity, their prior actions, and the exact reason for the escalation directly to the agent's screen before they even say hello. Why does this matter so much? Just think about the pure relief of never having to repeat yourself to an agent. That's the ultimate goal. Plus, agents need the override authority to just ignore an AI recommendation if they see the case doesn't fit the standard mold. Now, all of this massive change is being driven by one undeniable financial reality: $80 billion. That is the staggering amount of AI-driven labor savings that Gartner projects for the year 2026. Yes, 80 billion with a B. It is exactly why every single executive on the planet is pushing so hard for AI integration right now. But there's a pretty major myth floating around about those $80 billion in savings. The assumption is usually that AI saves money by replacing employees. But the real ROI actually comes from boosting agent capacity, not just wildly cutting headcount. In fact, surveys show only 20% of customer service leaders reported a headcount reduction after deploying AI. Instead, what AI does is clear out the repetitive, mind-numbing tier of questions. This literally saves human sanity from burnout, meaning companies spend way less money constantly rehiring and retraining frustrated agents who just quit, and it allows the existing team to handle a much higher volume of truly meaningful work. Of course, it's really vital to point out that not every industry plays by the exact same rules here. If you're in a regulated industry like healthcare, finance, or insurance, these guardrails are absolutely non-negotiable. Data handling and compliance controls must be locked in super tight before a single automated call ever goes live. In these fields, anything even slightly ambiguous or case-specific stays firmly with the human by design, and not just by exception. So how do you actually execute all of this successfully without creating a bunch of new operational risks? Well, here's a really practical 4-step rollout playbook. Step 1, start small. Just pick one high-volume, rules-based workflow like after-hours support or maybe appointment scheduling. Step 2, define your KPIs and those strict escalation rules before launch. Step 3, connect the AI deeply to your existing systems like your CRM, so data just flows automatically. And step 4, review the conversations weekly so you can catch any routing errors early on. All right, we're nearing the end of our explainer today, and I have saved perhaps the most shocking statistic for right now. Despite all the massive hype, all the investment, and all these incredible technological leaps, projections show that by 2027, AI will still only fully resolve about 14% of customer interactions. Just let that sink in for a second. 14%. That means for the remaining 86% of interactions, a human is still needed somewhere in the loop. Which leads me perfectly to this final, somewhat provocative question. If AI is only finishing 14% of the conversations on its own, is the true future of technology simply learning how to seamlessly and intelligently ask a human for help? The real power of AI isn't in replacing us. It's in how brilliantly it orchestrates that relay race, recognizing its own limits, and truly mastering the balance behind human intervention. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me today. Keep asking questions, and I will catch you in the next explainer.